Testing, testing. Hello, hello, everybody out there in the universe. How are you doing? Send me a message in the live chat here or smash the like button. By the way, this is also, an Ask Me Anything. Maybe I'll change that on the title here. Um, that we can talk about stuff that maybe interests you. And I'll try to answer it the best I can. I'll update the title here. Hello, hello. Um, Update on the situation. So I'll tell you what personally is going on with me, and then we'll talk about what's going on in the country, in Israel currently. So we have a situation where this morning I woke up, went to brush my teeth, and I hear booms, boom, 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 boom. Right? I was like, wait a second, this is weird, right? And I go to sleep, later than my family because I make the videos during the night. Because most of you live in the U.S. that watch the channel, and I go to my wife. I said, "Didn't you hear the booms?" She says, "Are you serious? You didn't hear the sirens in the morning?" I said, "No, I didn't hear the sirens." She says, "Yeah, there were sirens in the morning, and we didn't want to wake you, so we just went into the bomb shelter without you." And I was like, "Okay, thank you for not waking me up. That's very nice of you." But then I was like, "Okay, so what now?" And then I went on the internet and I saw everything that was going on, and I was like, okay, not a great situation that we have here. And then I told my wife, okay, let's go. We were at my mother-in-law's house, which is more down south than where we live. About I think it's about 20 kilometers from where everything was kicking off. And so we are hearing a lot of booms. But we were like, okay, maybe we should go home. We live a little bit more up north in the country, a little bit farther away. So then we get home and I make a video, and then we had a few sirens and a few rockets bombing here. But so far it's been quiet. So, maybe in the middle of the live stream, I'll have to leave. But because I'm not in the bomb shelter now, I put the kids in the bomb shelter to sleep, and so so we wouldn't have to move them if we have sirens. But it's all good. I'm very sadly, this is not the first time I've experienced it, and probably it won't be the last time that I experience. I think it's maybe the 10th time that I've experienced this kind of scenario. But by far, this current situation is the worst situation that we've ever been in. And if we go and we take a look, on the live streams here, at least 300 people uh, on the Israeli side, life taken, about 1,600 injured. Just terrible, terrible situations. And the numbers over the night will go up and up once they figure out what's exactly happening. There was chaos during the whole day. There was, because it's also Saturday, so a lot of people, and it was a holiday, so a lot of people on Saturday, they don't use the phones, and they don't watch TV, so they didn't know what was going on, and so it was a very bad situation. And there was the festival out in the, when there was about 5,000 people there, and it seemed that was planned. They knew that the festival was going on, and they attacked. If you could smash the like button, I see there's only 14 likes on the video, and 50 people Hello, guys. Am I back? Let me know in the comment in the chat. The internet suddenly messed up. I don't know what happened, but it seems like we're back. So thank you, people that stayed with me and for your concern that something happened to me. Okay, great. I don't know. I think I had a VPN, my VPN on, and it's kind of messed it up. So that's basically what happened there. So, like I said in the title, if you guys want to ask me questions about what's happening, and then we can keep all the the stuff in the background if you're interested. Um, and because there's not a lot really to tell. Just my experience and my thoughts and my feelings. I don't want to get into too of a political thing. That's why I also did like that. The chat could only have people that are subscribed, and so because I didn't want people bombarding the comment section, because I wanted us to have the opportunity to have a nice conversation. So someone asked here, what can Israel do? Well, there are a few options. The option that's most likely to happen, and it's probably the worst case scenario, is that they go in with massive amount of soldiers, and from the air with significant amount of plane strikes, and a lot of people are going to lose their life. And then we're going to be stuck with a situation where the whole world hates us, and they're going to criticize and all that, because the way that Gaza is set up, it's the most dense place in the world. So it means that if you go in with soldiers, it's very hard for them to even find anybody, and most likely many soldiers will lose their lives. The other situation is do the same thing that they've been doing for the last 20 years, is a few airstrikes, and that's it. The world will be a little bit pissed off, but nothing too crazy. And then people, the countries around us will be like, they're not that strong. Look what they did. They got they got attacked really bad, and they did nothing, right? And that's just going to leave us in the same place that we've been for the last 20 years, again and again and again and again and again. Like I said before the stream fell off, I think this is like my 10th time. It started first time actually that we had a significant, well, I was in there was a situation when I was back in the military. We left Gaza, and I was part of that. Then I was in the army then, and then I went to the United States of America, and it was about 2 years later they started sending rockets to Israel, but I was in the United States. Then I came back, and I was in the university, and then we didn't have the Iron Dome. So we kept getting, there were so many missiles hitting where I was in Beersheba. It was terrible, right? Then they put the Iron Dome up, and it happened like I think 2 or 3 times in the next 5 years, where they also had missiles, but the Iron Dome blocked almost everything, right? And it was very successful. And when you have the Iron Dome, it's a lot less stressful than it was when we didn't have the Iron Dome, because it was crazy. Like, the missiles were just falling everywhere. And it was a, tricky situation. So, and the last scenario is basically to do nothing, right? And if they do nothing, then that's terrible as well, because you can't sit and do anything when you get attacked like this, right? You can't do nothing. Um, and so this is the situation. Um, those are the three options. In my opinion, they're gonna go with option number one, and it's gonna be a significant hit for them, the other side, and it's very very sad. Um, but think about it: if your neighbor came in and I don't know, I don't even know if I have a good analogy for it. It's very hard, right? Um, so we'll see what happens. You know me, I'm usually a very optimistic and happy and positive, and just today has been, especially in the morning, I made the mistake of looking at videos on Telegram, and it was just terrible sights. And then that got me really kind of down. But probably by tomorrow, it will wear off. This is just how it is, right? You got to shake it off and do those kinds of things. It's something that we don't want. I'm okay. I'll probably won't get called up for military duty, at least not at the beginning, because of what I did in the army. They'll probably won't call me straight away, but maybe down the line if I'm still able. Like, I'm only 37 in a month, right? I'm not that old. But old people, they don't tell you have to come and defend the country, right? um, but hopefully we don't get to that kind of scenario. When I was on the way home, I saw next to one of the military bases, maybe about 1,000 cars on the road, because this military base didn't have any, it didn't have parking spaces for all the people coming in for reserve duty. So people were parking on the actual road, right? There was tons of cars on the road and on the side of the road, and it was just a crazy thing to see. Um, you know, so people got jumped to military service very very fast, and we'll see. Tonight's going to be interesting, and into tomorrow. I think this could be a few weeks at least. Maybe I'm a little bit naive and it finishes fast. Um, yeah, but hopefully it gets resolved soon. So if you smash the like button, share the stream, spread the word, the positivity. Um, it's a tricky situation. Let's see if there's any live streams that we can look at together. With what's happening. Um, I don't know. My internet doesn't like the fact that I have two streams open, I think. Here we go. And I have very fast internet, so I don't know why. I have a cable. Would I like to go? That's a tricky situation, a tricky question. I haven't had training for a while, right? So I would have rather to have at least a few weeks of training before I could go. Just because you have to. It's been about a while since I've been in any training, so I would rather go back to training and remember before. But um, it's hard to leave your family when you haven't had training. It's like the last case scenario, I think, currently, just because of the fact that I haven't had the training, and I'm not there's we have many people, because everybody, it's not like in the United States where there's people about that get paid to go to the military service. Here everybody did, so there's many reserved soldiers. And so a lot of people don't do reserve services all the time. So yeah, I would need to at least go to some training before. Someone asked, why did you leave the United States? Right? I don't know. It's a good question. So my mom is American and my dad is Israeli. And so they met here in Israel and then they moved to the United States. And I was born there and I lived there until I was 9. And my father is an only child, and his mother back here was already getting older and she was all by herself. And he decided that he couldn't leave her all by herself. And so he decided to come back and be with her. And then ever since then, we've been here. So I've been here, already almost 30 years, right? Uh, would I ever come back? That's a good question. I'm asking myself. None of you asked. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Of that possibility. You know, um, Maybe it would need to be in the right kind of place and the right kind of community. Uh, and the problem is that my wife, she's half Moroccan, half Iraqi, and her families are very close. And it's many cousins, and her brother has like 10 brothers and sisters. So it's very hard, big family, to leave that kind of family and go away. The kids are already used to it. If I move back to the United States, unless I go live near my mother's family, which isn't huge, it's not a lot of family, right? And so, I'm not really used to them because I've been here for a long time. So it's a tricky situation. Just leaving and going to a country that I've been to the U.S. many times in the last 30 years. I used to spend my summers at my grandma's house in Lynn, Massachusetts. If any of you are familiar with with Lynn, the city of sin, you never come out the way you came in, right? um, and so I spent my summers there. So, I'm very versed in the United States of America, right? Maybe, I can move to the United States now because I'm YouTuber and not a software developer anymore. But I don't know. It's a tricky situation to pick up everything, leave, and go to a new country. Even though my parents did it, they were going to some place where they had my father's family, so it's kind of different, right? Um, but that's a good question. Any more questions? Is this a question? Let's see. Okay. I don't think that. I think that's a kind of fake news. But I don't know. People are saying that maybe it was an inside job here in Israel, because um, the way that they entered was just crazy, right? They just cut down the fence, and um, there's supposed to be girls. It's a job for girls. The only girls do it, where they sit and they watch the fence, and they have cameras and they sit there and they watch the fence. And if anything happens, then there's soldiers that are supposed to run and do something, right? And people are saying there's no way that they were not watching that place where they came in. And the just sheer amount of there was a very, very big intelligent error here, right? The fact that they didn't know what was going on. So people are saying maybe it was an inside job. Some people, um, maybe, but it could be just conspiracy theories. What time is it? It's 12:42 a.m. So not too late. Um, 50 years and one day from the Yom Kippur War, actually, which was also a war that we got kind of caught with our pants down, where it was a holy day. Yom Kippur is a holy day. It was actually a few weeks ago. Um, the Jewish calendar is lunar calendar, so it's a little bit different than the regular calendar, right, that everybody uses. And so every year the holidays come out on a different date, right, on the regular calendar. But the Jewish calendar, it's always the same date. And so that's why this year Yom Kippur was a few weeks ago. And now we had a different holiday of Sukkot. So yeah, it was 50 years ago that happened. And that also, then we were attacked by a few countries around us. And that actually, my father was a soldier in that war, right? So he's 68 now, and he was 18 when when that war went on. So yeah, that was 50 years ago already. It's the kids were my older kids were a little bit they didn't really want to go to bed, and then so it was 8 o'clock and we put them to bed, right, 8 p.m. So we had a siren, and then we had a second siren. After the first siren, we said, okay, let's if there's another siren, we'll put the beds in here, the mattresses. So then there was another siren about an hour later. So then we put the mattresses in the bomb shelter, and then they had a hard time going to sleep because we had to tell them what was going on, right? We kind of, even though school is canceled tomorrow, it's already been vacation for a while, the past about week. So there's like, oh, it's just another day of vacation, right? We really didn't tell them what was really going on, and then we had to tell them, in some words, what was actually going on. How old are they? They are 3, almost 8 next week, 8, and then in a few more weeks, 6. So 8, 6, and 3.5. Don't they let all Israeli keep their gun for mandatory military service? So no, you don't get to keep your gun or your rifle. You have to give it back after you finish your mandatory military service, and then when you go back to reserved service, so they just give you a new gun. But because many people do military service, so they have a gun license. If you go through a certain amount of training, so you can get it pretty easily, just because you have a training. And you have to also go through a few questionnaires and things like that, but it's a lot easier if you went through the training. But other than that, so many people have personal weapons, right? But we don't get to keep the rifles. Only while you are in the military service, you have the possibility to take your rifle home. If you are, again, at a certain level of training, and then you have to put it, to take it apart and put it in multiple places and behind a lock. So, there's been instances where people have had their houses broken into and then the guns were taken away. So the rifles. It's not the best situation. But it's happened before. Who's funding this group? I don't know. What group are you talking about? Moneymaker Tribe? That was the question from Steve. I don't know. So it's a good question here. What is the reason they decided to invade now after years of the same tension? So basically, they have been waiting for us to get complacent, and so they must have saw the festival that was going on. There was a festival very close to the border with 5,000 people at the festival. I think that they knew about the festival and they were like, if we go to the festival, it's going to create, very big commotion and then we'll have a situation where we can catch them with their pants down. So maybe that's why they did it now. And actually, we there was a little bit of fighting at the fence, and then they removed some of the restrictions on them. But it's and that maybe made the army complacent again. But I don't know. I'm not an expert on that, so it's hard for me to say. How far away from Tel Aviv are you? Like from air length, it's about 10 kilometers maybe. But with traffic and stuff, it might take you like 18-20 minutes to get to northern Tel Aviv from where I live. So Avi, don't you live in Israel? Yes, I do. um yeah, so let me drink a little bit of water here. While I'm doing that, there's 125 people here and only 82 likes. So smash the like button. Do you guys have any more questions? Um, so I'm not going to read the question, but if you see the question from Nate the Great, he's asking why aren't we seeing a parking lot where another place is currently, right? So yeah, it's not that easy. There's 2 million people there, right? And a lot of the world already hates us, right? And so until now, the government was like, hey, if we do that, first of all, many people will perish. And secondary, we will be looking into the international, society very badly. But maybe it happens this time. I don't know. The prime minister said that it's going to be the biggest and baddest attack that they have ever seen. But who knows, right? We've heard these kinds of things before, and then a few days in, Americans start coming, and the Europeans start calling, and this country starts calling, and oh, you know what? I think one of the reasons why they did this. By the way, there was a question before. Why did I think they attack now? So basically, there has been talks between Saudi Arabia and America about normalizing connections with Israel. Now, Saudi Arabia is basically the biggest and the baddest country here in the area, right? They're very rich, they have a lot of money, and big military as well. And the crown prince basically said that he would be open to normalizing connections with Israel if Israel does some things. I think that the Iranians, which are enemies of Saudi Arabia, because they're Shia and Sunni, they told Hamas, we don't want normalization with Israel and Saudi Arabia. If you attack them now, and they attack significantly onto Gaza, back onto Gaza, then Saudi Arabia will not be able to normalize the situation with Israel, because the Muslims in Saudi Arabia and the people of Saudi Arabia would be looking at it very, very poorly because of all the people that are going to perish in Gaza. And so that's what I think happened here. I think the Iranians were afraid of the normalization between Israel and Saudi Arabia that could strengthen Israel and strengthen Saudi Arabia and give normalization to Israel. And all they scream is, that Israel should be destroyed and it's all the Zionist fault and everything is because of us, right? And we're the big bad guys, right? I'm not saying we're saints, but it's very, very complicated, the situation, right? Let's read some of your comments. Gambino Fitness, you served in the United States Army or the Israeli Army? Israeli Army, right? You know any stories from the miracle that ended the Six-Day War? I've heard a lot of stories that just don't have any in my brain now. It's been a long day. Did Jesus come back yet? I don't know. Should I go look through the window? No, he's not back yet. He's not back. Jesus is not here yet. But should peace be an option? Yes, peace should be an option. But the fact is that they can't accept the state of Israel. Now, the funny thing is, right, that the Israeli Arabs that live here have better rights and better lives in all of the countries around us, except the countries that have a significant amount of oil. So in UAE, Saudi Arabia, they live pretty good, right? But if you go to Iran, Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, Jordan, Libya, Tunisia, Morocco, they all live at a lower lifestyle than the Israeli Arabs that live here in Israel. And they have less rights than the Israeli Arabs that live in Israel, right? So you'd think that they would want to, hey, make peace with us and say, wow, Israel is pretty great, right? They give people rights. And if you want, you can be, LGBT person. And if you want, you can, have free speech and all those kinds of things. And they don't want those things, right? But the people that, live here, for the most part, they're happy. Now, I won't be, and say there isn't any racism and there isn't, conflict and there isn't, but at the end of the day, we want peace, but we want them to acknowledge us, right? And to all the people that say, oh, well, they haven't been here. My family has been here since 1880. So we've been here for a long time, right? And of course, thousands of years before that. If they want, we can share, but they don't want to share. That's the problem. Move to Portugal ASAP. Stay safe. That's also been on the table, Felipe, because my wife has an Portuguese passport now. So, we thought about that, maybe going to Portugal too. But we'll see. We'll see. Not today, though. Thank you for all of your prayers and hoping that I keep safe. I'll try. We haven't had a siren here since 9:30, so it's already almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So they wanted maybe to make a little bit of a noise while there was like the nightly news, right, that was going on, and it has a lot of a rating, so they usually send the missiles while the nightly news is on. And so, once it's over, it gets a little bit less. Maybe we'll get something at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's when most people are in deep sleep. So in my experience, they do that also when people are in deep sleep. Um, um, Someone asked, why didn't the military see the attack coming? So we kind of answered this before, but basically it seems that there was a little bit of complacency, and um, there could have been an inside job. We don't know yet, right? There's gonna be investigations of what the f happened here, and why did we mess up? It was have this big mess up, but it will be interesting to see in the end. Um, it's one of the worst days in the country ever, right? It's the number here. I don't know if you see it above my head, but it says 300 dead, and it's probably going to go up more, right? Just in the festival, there was 5,000 people, and it's probably going to go up more. There were civilians that were on their morning walk and they got massacred, and soldiers and policemen, and so the number is probably going to go up, and there's 1,600 injured. That will probably go up as well by the morning, and then when the real fighting inside Gaza starts, numbers will probably go up even more. So it's a hard situation, right? Yeah, the numbers are digging up the past set here. I heard here in the Netherlands that they're already about 400. So it says here in Hebrew at least 300. So it could be 400, it could be 500. They're still picking up the remains and stuff like that, and they're not sure. They're going house to house and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and of course there are people that are injured that could pass away too, and so the number is probably going to go up during the night. I think many of them are from the festival, just because they were doing a recreational medicine there, and then they got caught in the middle of dancing. They say that first there was the sirens, and then first they had the sirens, and they were in the open fields, and there was it wasn't like an illegal party. It was legal party with ambulances and police, right? And then suddenly they had the sirens for the missiles, and then they were like, oh my god, missiles, what do we do? We're out in the open, right? And then they started running, and then there was they started getting shot at there, and then they ran the other way, and there was shooting from that way, and then they ran the other. So it's a very bad situation, and so I think the numbers are just going to go up and up and up, right? During the night. In the morning, it said 20, right? At least 20. And I told my wife, add a 0, because I was watching the videos on Telegram, which I shouldn't have done. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm not going to tell you what group it was, so you don't go and do it, because you're not going to be able to go to sleep at night. But that gave me a little bit of the sheer amount of people that infiltrated into the country. So I knew it was at least 100 from what the videos, and so yeah, bad situation to be caught in, and so hopefully as many people can come out of this good, and then the number doesn't jump up to 1,000, right? That could happen, because out of the 1,600, I don't know how many are injured severely, right? That sometimes, it jumps because it takes time, and we'll see, you know. So I pray for everybody that got hurt and will be okay, and I hope that everybody will that it won't be too long, and we can get back to talking about crypto soon. And about the stock market, about finance, and about making money, and not about these kinds of things. But I just felt like this wasn't the night to do that, and so I decided that this would be a better thing. Um, who gave them the rockets? So basically, some of them they construct by themselves, but most of them come from Iran. Right? Iran constructs them and then they send it to them. Right? That's how they get it, and they also get money from Qatar, and they get money from all over the world, and then they make bombs with it instead of helping their people. Right? Their people are in a bad situation. It's one of the poorest places in the world. And by the way, I saw that, people say, well, it's closed off on the Israeli side. They also have an opening to the Egyptian side, right? There's a border with Egypt. The Egypt doesn't let them come in either, right? The Egyptians don't want them either, right? It's very tricky situation. The Egyptians don't like Hamas either, right? So it's a problem. They want the people. They don't want the Hamas, right? They don't want that in their country. They already had the Muslim Brothers, which were I think it's the same as Hamas. So they don't want that, right? So it's a tricky situation. I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I know what I know, just because I live here and I watch the news sometimes, and but I'm not an expert in any way. There's a lot of fake news. There's a lot of things that are out there. There's a lot of things that are fake photos and fake videos and fake narratives, and you're going to see a lot of them out there now. And just remember that most of them are fake. I'm not saying that we're angels, right? Sometimes when shit hits the fan, things happen, right? But we want peace. We want to be prosperous. We want to make money. Jews want to make money. We don't want to have Jews want to make money, right? We don't want we want to do high tech, and we want to do innovation, and we want to be prosperous, and we don't want all this shit, right? But it is what it is, right? Like I said, my family's been living in Israel. His father's side, my mother's side is American, but my father's side has been here since 1880. They came from Russia after the Russians kicked them out, right? So think about it like this. Let's say, right, the U.S. So my family has been here from 1880, right? Let's say your family in the United States has been since 1700 or 1800, right? And let's say the Native Americans suddenly were like, hey, you know what? We want our land back, and we want our things back. And then they started sending rockets at New York City, right? What do you think would have happened, right? So just think about that. And you could use the same parallel anywhere around the world. Borders changed, people moved. It's not, this was mine, this is yours. It's a situation where we want to have peace, we want to have prosperity, we want to live together. So the other side just doesn't want, right? They want Israel to be gone. They want all this area to be only Arabs and Muslims, right? And also they don't want Christians. Most of them don't want Christians, Arabs. And if they won't say it openly, right? But they don't want the Christians either. The extremists, not the regular people. The regular people want to live in peace just like me. I know this, right? I know. They don't want war. They want peace. They want prosperity. They want to be able to make money. They want their kids to be happy. They want the same thing that we want. But the extremists and basically the people that run stuff don't want that. And they want to stay in power. How do they stay in power? Create fear. It's the same thing with Benjamin Netanyahu. He always created fear from Iran, fear from Hamas, fear from Hezbollah, right? And he would create fear, and then he would get reelected, right? It's kind of the same thing in the stock market, right? People that get lots of views with fear, right? Because fear sells, right? Oh my God, we have to go against the commies. We have to go against the Muslims. We have to go against I don't know, the Russians, right? That's what they sell. They sell that to the normal public in order to keep power, right? Because when you create a situation where people are afraid, then they want to keep you in power because they think that you're going to do something. You always have to have an enemy, right? Doesn't matter who the enemy is, but there has to be an enemy. And so that's the situation. Let me just drink a little bit of water after that speech. Give me some more questions, right? Maybe we can watch something so I can let my voice rest a little bit. Right? We want to make money. Right? We don't. I want prosperity. I want my fears to be a tornado. Right? A tornado is much better. Right? When I was a kid, we were living in Michigan and there was a tornado. A tornado, you know when a tornado is going to come, more or less, and you go into your tornado shelter and that's it. But here, you could be walking down the street and someone can come and take your life, right? And that could happen, by the way, in the U.S. as well, with, in certain cities like Chicago and San Francisco and all that. So the news from my country is here in the background, by the way. You were asking. Someone was asking. This is like the most, actually, by the way, right-wing channel. So yeah, maybe we could get what do we get? CNN going. What does Associated Press have here? Let's see. Let's press Associated Press. See if it will work. How's the situation at the border with Lebanon now? So I'm pretty far away from the Lebanese border, right? I have a friend that lives nearby. He hasn't said anything yet. Their situation is really bad. They have massive inflation. Their economic situation is very, very bad. And they're basically, most of them are Christians, but there's Hezbollah, which is, basically run by Iran, that keeps making trouble. And already the Christians living there don't want Hezbollah anymore. And they want better prosperity, and they want better jobs, and they don't want huge inflation. And they, don't want Syria coming in and getting into their business. So Lebanon is a tricky situation as well. That's a good question, right? Lebanon is I was a soldier in the Second Lebanon War as well, so that's a tricky situation. Most of these like live streams are just showing nothing, and they have 5,000 views, and we're only at 175, right? But that's okay. CNN. I know that the people that usually watch my channel aren't up, usually aren't watching this. Well, let's get a channel in Arabic, right? So we can get like both sides. Digging up the past, is it possible that you could get called up for military? Yes, but it's not that likely in the current situation. Only if we have like a full out massive war in all of the all the borders, and they call up every single able fighting male, like in Ukraine. um, then yes. But if not, then probably not. What part of Michigan did I live in? That's a hard question. I was like 5 years old, so when you only live there for a year, so it's hard for me to answer that. But my father worked in Detroit, so it was a suburb of Detroit, I think. Um, I don't remember the actual place. I'm blanking now, right? Um, uh, I probably just someone asked, "Hi, Abby, thanks for sharing a moment." Well, you can say, then should you get back? I don't think I can say what I could potentially do, but I'll have to do something important. I don't want to say, but yeah. So there's some Hans Rose asked, how can they misjudge the intel so bad? Normally there are some signs. It seems that the military kept warning the government that there was issues and that they needed more money, and that the government wasn't listening, and um, that they weren't focusing on important things, and maybe that's why. Have they already been counterattacks of your country? Yeah. So they have, according to the news, they have been bombing strategical assets of Hamas, um, and they put down a tower of the TV, I think. But they have not really gone in massive. Probably now during the night they'll go in massive with the fighter jets. And there's already been stories of hundreds of tanks that are driving to the border, and they'll probably enter tomorrow or the next day, and so that's probably going to happen. And so then we'll see. We'll see what happens after that. Again, like I said, going into um, city fighting. I forgot what it's called in English, but combats inside the city, inside Gaza, is very tricky because it's the most dense area in the world. There's 2 million people on a very, very small amount of land. And the, the Hamas, they don't care. They'll put missiles on a building with people living inside, or they'll have a, a gun reserve under a school, or they'll have all kinds of things, and they'll have booby traps, and they'll have all kinds of things. And previously, a few years ago, I think it was like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when they went in, many soldiers lost their lives because it was so tricky, and they were able to capture 2 soldiers back then. Well, now there's at least 50 people captured, and there's probably more, right? From all the videos that are on Twitter and online. I didn't want to go on Twitter because there's some very disturbing videos there. So urban combat, thank you. And here, at least on these channels, they give you censorship. So I didn't want to have anything too brutal on the stream. Get cut to. I've seen channels get shut down because they had stuff. So this is the current situation. Yeah, it's not. It's not great, right? Scotty asked, "How bad do you think this is going to get? Is this the calm before the storm?" Yeah. I think it's the calm. You see explosions here on the right hand side. I think it's the calm before the storm. I think that it's going to get really intense in the next 24 hours. And according to what they're saying, the Minister of Defense came out and said that back when he was the minister, back when he was the general of the South, he was a general of the army. He wanted to go in and do a massive operation, and the government wouldn't let him. And he says, "Now I'm the Minister of Defense, so I'm going to do what I want to do." So it seems like they're going to go in, with significant force, and we have significant force to dealt. The question is, how significant is it going to be? Because there has been at least 50 people that have been taken. So do you just bomb without recognition and say, hey, those 50 people, civilians and soldiers, collateral damage, right? It is what it is. Or do you say, okay, we have those 50 people. They took the 50 people in order to make exchanges for prisoners here in Israel, terrorists. And Israel is probably not going to do that, because last time when they did that and they returned about 2,000 terrorists, those terrorists came back and did terrorism again. So I don't think they're going to do it this time. How long do I think it will be? At least a couple of weeks. My wife thinks it's going to be a few days. I'm not that optimistic because they declared war, right? If they would have said it was what's the word in English? An operation, then I say, okay, this could be, a few weeks or maybe a few days even. But because they declared war, I think it's going to be at least a few weeks, but who knows, right? We've had this. I think the longest war that we had was, of course, the first Lebanon war, which wasn't really, like the same of the wars that we had beforehand that were against countries, because it was against Hezbollah. I don't remember how long exactly that war was, but previous wars that were had in 67 and 73 were pretty short. They were like 6 days, of course, the 6-day war. And we had the Yom Kippur War, which was about a month, if I remember correctly. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Months, I don't know about months. We're not in a situation where we can do what Russia did and just go, over a year ready. I don't think that is going to happen, because Russia is not being attacked, right? Here, right, Russia invaded and then is getting attacked, but the Russian people itself in Russia are not getting attacked, right? Here, if we go in, there's going to be rockets, right? And we're not going to have work regularly, and we're not going to have school regularly, and we're not going to have life regularly. And so I don't see how they could do that for a year, right? See the difference? It's a big difference. And so I don't think that kind of situation could happen. It would be a significant amount of time. But we'll see. We'll see how long it takes for them to feel like they made their goals, right? They hit the goals. I'm sure that they sat down today, the government, and they made goals for the war, because if it took them a long time to come out, and even then, like President Biden came to speak to the people before President Netanyahu, because I think they were sitting and trying to figure out what to do, like the goals. because you can't just go into an operation or a war like this without goals. Because it's not like, hey, First World War, Second World War, whatever war that we've had. Okay, so if we defeat the enemy, right, the enemy surrenders, then it's over. Here, I don't know if they're going to, even if they surrender, I don't, I don't know what the goals are. If the government is like, we've had enough of this shit, right? We can't deal with a terrorist group leading the government in Gaza. We have to eradicate them, and we have to change this. We want the people there to be free, to be good, right? To be prosperous, but their government there doesn't let them. It's run by a terrorist group, right? So we'll see how long it. I think at least a few weeks, but what my wife said. A few days. I don't think it's gonna be just a few days, but we'll see. We'll see. Yes, it could be a very dangerous situation. The main thing is that uh, the fear of is the Israel government is that they'll go all in on one area and then we'll get attacked from other areas. So basically, Egypt is, we have peace with Egypt, and Jordan, we have peace with Jordan. They need us, right? Jordan has no water. We give them a lot of water every single year. They need us, right? So, and there's agreements have been long standing. Syria is in a bad situation. They have their own issues. They're probably not going to do anything. And then you have Hezbollah, which are on the southern border of Lebanon and the northern border of Israel. And the fear is that maybe they'll do something. Maybe Iran will do something. There's been, I saw tweets about that Al Qaeda said that if Saudi Arabia and Jordan will let them through, that they'll come and they'll conquer Jerusalem. So those are fears that we have as a military. If we go too heavy in one direction, we will leave open our other borders. This is a mistake that when Israel was attacked from all different directions in the Independence War and the Six-Day War and the Yom Kippur War, we were attacked from everywhere, right? So Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, everybody attacked us. So we're that's one of the biggest fears, right? So, and Uncle Joe in the background. So that's what I think maybe they were talking about during the evening, and why maybe it hasn't been that much of a massive attack yet. Um, and so far, we haven't seen many missiles being sent. By the way, if you see while we're watching the stream here, if there's a alarm, a siren in a specific area, so it jumps up on the TV, right? So this is this channel, right, live stream, but it will jump here and it will say, if somebody, for example, is hearing impaired, or in an area where they can't hear, for example, I don't know. So it comes up on the news, and then it says, in your area, there's a siren. So if you see it pop up here, it means that there's sirens, but most likely not where I am. But it's interesting that I think only once while we've been on this stream, I've seen it pop up. So it's been pretty quiet from that aspect, but they're still fighting with some of the terrorists inside the border. There was some terrorists that took over the police station in one of the southern cities, and then they didn't know what to do. They're inside the police station and they took it over, and they're contemplating about what to do with it. Blow up the police station, because there's policemen inside, but they hadn't had contact with them for a few hours. So they were afraid that they were not with us anymore. So they're like, okay, let's blow it up. But then they said, no, they're injured here. So now they don't know what to do. So there's still a few situation that's happening. But we'll try to. Let me read what the Israeli news is saying right now. I'll look at it on the other channel, and then we can see. Can I close this chat? I'm not interested in the chat. Won't let me close the chat. Okay. Let's see. Did this fall out too? So they're saying that some of the people that were kept captive have been released in one of the towns in southern Israel. But they're still fighting in the police station. So according to the news here right now. So yeah. That's the situation. Can you describe the land, seas, air assault for us here? So basically, they have drones, they have helicopters, they have fighter pilots, fight planes, right? War planes, right? And they just drop bombs. I don't know what kind of description you're interested in. Let's go back to that live stream. From the sea, we have warships. Earlier they tried to get in from the sea as well, but the warships saw them and destroyed their vessels. So that was the only area that they weren't able to infiltrate from. But they were on parachutes, and they came through the fence. They came with a tractor and they broke down the fence, which shouldn't have happened. It's a 60-kilometer border, so it's a very long border, and it's hard to. You can't to put up a wall would be hard. We do have a wall in another area, but in Gaza there's no wall, so they were able to get through. And by the way, ever since we had the wall, there's been a lot of less bombings on that side. Mr. Shelley asked a question that I probably they did a lot of things. So do they know who the specific people they kidnapped are? Some of them just because they put out videos with their pictures, like videos of them being taken. So their family said, hey, that's my brother, that's my sister, that's my mother, that's my uncle, right? So we know who they are. But the other people, it's very hard to know because people are looking for their loved ones and they're not sure what happened to them. Are they, maybe they're in the morgue, maybe they're right. People don't know yet. There's a lot of chaos. So probably by tomorrow or the day after, they'll know everybody that's been taken, more or less. Unless there's somebody maybe that doesn't have family and then nobody's looking for them, and then we wouldn't know. But I think that they're going to put out a list. Probably Hamas will put out a list as well. So yeah. rough stuff. You saw the people on TV today that almost started crying. Like there was one guy that he's the reporter and the southern reporter. Like he's in charge of the southern region, right, on the TV. And he said he was crying, like crying because he said I was talking to my friends earlier, and they were saying giving me updates, and now they're not updating me anymore. And you can imagine to yourself why. I can imagine to myself, and you can imagine to yourself why that's not happening anymore, right? So yeah, live on TV. So do you think they would build a wall for on Gaza? Maybe after this, but it would be cost a lot of money, and I don't know if we could afford that. Um, Maybe if America pays for it, right? I know the American people would love that. No, yeah, I don't think they would do that, right? But maybe, right? It would cost a lot of money, and we already have enough problems with a significant amount of the population that doesn't do a lot, right? We're not going to get into that too much in this stream, but yeah. So yeah, so they're saying on the Israeli news now that people that were held hostage in the in a specific eating like a cafeteria in the kibbutz, which is a a place where it's like a sociologic what's the word it's a kind of communistic kind of way of thinking, communist, right? Socialist, that's the word. So they kind of eat together in a cafeteria. It was an idea that was very very popular when the country was created. Not so much today. They understood that it doesn't really work, and so they have been released, and all the terrorists are not with us anymore, if you know what I mean. Are you in Israel? Yes. Yes, I am. Um, Avi, why do they attack your country? What is the history of Israel, and why does your country get attacked? Wow. um, that's a very, very, very complex question and answer. The short answer is, why do we get attacked? We get attacked because people feel that well, you have to go back a little bit. About 75 years ago, the British decide to leave the area that they were in charge of. That before, the Ottoman Empire was in charge of. Right? Oh, I see that the. Am I getting stuck again? No. Okay. I think I might be getting stuck. No, we're good. And so we had a situation where my family has been living here since 1880, but they were living here together in peace, more or less, with the other people that were living here, right? My grandmother, she was a farmer, basically. Wait, I'm getting stuck again, I think. Let me refresh. One second. It's because the YouTube doesn't like my answer to the question. Let me see. Are we still live? Let me know in the comment section if we're still live, because my YouTube stream management here went off. Right, so so I'm not sure if you guys can see me or not. It says that you can, so I'm gonna continue my answer. Well, let's just wait a minute. You know what? I'm gonna go get some more water and then I'll come back. I had to close this. I'm not sure if I'm still live. Let me close some things. Maybe the computer is having a hard time. Maybe we'll close this stream as well and only get one stream. I'm not sure if you guys still can see me. YouTube is down. Okay, so it says I'm still live, but I'm not sure. Let me get back. Come on, computer. Get me to the YouTube studio. I'm sorry if all you have to look at is my beautiful face and the stream isn't live, right? Let's see, content. It's so slow. So slow. Okay, I think my computer is not working. So if you guys are still here, I really thank you for joining me on the stream. And I'll talk to you tomorrow, and hopefully it will be a quiet night.